Thank you, Brian. So when we talk about transportation, you know, I think it's important to drill down in terms of what that really means, because believe it or not, transportation is a niche industry, but there's several niches within that niche, if you will. So oftentimes, when we talk to individuals and we say, well, I'm a transportation broker, that's not really clear enough. Or I'm a trucking broker. Again, not necessarily descriptive of what different areas in the market of which we service. So just thought it was important to kind of touch upon some of those different verticals that we specialize in within transportation. So last mile delivery, this is really for the three Brian's on the call today, really what our specialty has been for the last 20 some years, as you saw in our history. But this is mainly your small parcel expedited freight. So you want to think here, courier companies that might be specializing in more B2B work, carrying office documents from one part of a city to another. Some more small parcel play, maybe some longer pharmaceutical runs. They could have mixed fleets from anywhere from pickup trucks to vans to box trucks to some trucking operations built in to service some of their line haul work. They've really evolved over the course of time since we've been insuring them. Last mile can mean a multitude of things, right? We like to look at it from the perspective of, last mile where it's maybe B2B, doing warehouse fulfillment, shorter type distances in a regional capacity, or it could be more home delivery centric, where it's last mile to the curb. People are bringing deliveries to the end consumer, or even, white glove deliveries going over the threshold. So it's important to understand when you hear that word last mile, even it could mean a multitude of different things and different specialties within that, all very unique when it comes to their insurability. Trucking, obviously we're all familiar with that term, but even that, can have a different capacity to it when we talk about long haul carriers versus short haul carriers and the insurance companies that are willing to entertain them, those different types of entities. Freight brokering and forwarding, right? This is something that I think is really a hot button topic right now in the insurance community. We have had several different insurers enter this space lately to try to insure these risks with different coverage forms. And ultimately, when you hear those words, they can mean two different things. The freight brokering is a non-asset operation. They're not touching the freight. They don't have their own vehicles. They're arranging for the freight to be carried from the shipper, and they're finding a motor carrier and bringing those two parties together to get the freight where it needs to go. Freight forwarding can also be, to some capacity, non-asset based, but at some point in time in the chain of custody, they're going to be handling that freight. So again, I mean, when you talk about those two lines of work, often synonymous with one another when you hear people talk freight brokering and forwarding, but yet they can be two different types of operations. So it's important to distinguish between the two because again, the insurance nature of them can be different. Intermodal transportation, this is your containerized freight. Think containers coming into the ports, railways. They're lifted up by crane, put on the back of a chassis on the back of a semi, usually, transported very locally to a distribution center where those containers are broken down and then the empty container brought back to port. So those are the areas that we're really good at, I would say, in terms of our areas of focus were those verticals within transportation. There's others as well as it relates to, and we have a division that does corporate relocation. We have some waste hauling capabilities as well, fuel hauler capabilities also, but a lot of that stuff falls within the trucking division. But just wanted to distinguish, those four major pillars that make up our transportation division. So, Brian, you want to touch upon some of our coverage specialties?
Sure. Yeah, so the typical coverage lines that we have available to offer, and again, some of these are exclusive markets that we have. Some are, markets that we've gained through the merger of Risk Strategies and Brown and Brown. But those would entail commercial auto insurance, which also includes, fleet auto liability, hired and non-owned auto liability, contingent auto liability, physical damage, cargo and cargo coverage, warehouse coverage, cyber, and umbrella liability as well. We've also got some unique products that would include independent contractor misclassification. That's kind of a different one. That's not the mainstream vanilla coverage that a lot of transportation companies see in today's marketplace. But again, like I said, there's different ways to utilize the market access that we have, inclusive of several of our exclusive programs that we've created for some of the verticals that Brian previously mentioned. In terms of services that we have available to offer, DOT compliance, driver safety consulting, claims analytics, and advocacy, which is a huge element, especially when marketing your business to different carriers, especially larger opportunities that are looking at alternative risk platforms. Analytics becomes a huge element in that equation. And then independent contractor guidance as well, which we do have some legal services and law firms that we work hand in hand with. Market insight that continues to remain a challenge with the consistent auto rate increases year after year for the last 12, 13 years. It's going to be ever important to have creativity, whether it's alternative risk platforms, higher deductibles, just looking at a total cost of risk. Again, getting analytics involved. It's really, really important to be creative, offering different program and new programs, utilizing technology strategically. All of those insights are going to be key elements as things continue to stay hard in the marketplace.